I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make as they fly by. You know what? My favorite hobby is pretending I can work under pressure. It's like a sport, but with more stress and less actual work done.
That was one of the reasons I wanted to talk about procrastination as part of our show. So we're going to get to Superman eventually, but we want to procrastinate a little bit first.
Well, where have you been, Tim? Like, what happened with you? What happened? Why'd you just dry up?
I guess it almost feels like there's only so much willpower and creative juice to go around. So I'm busy writing my regular Substack work. I'm working on that every week, and I dedicated myself to writing every week. And then I did that, and I dropped a bunch of other things. So
yeah, a person's only got so much bandwidth.
That's right. And then if it isn't super easy, and that's why I was hoping we get on these lives and use them for the podcast, because this is kind of easier. Like, there's no editing. You just do it, it's done, and you just blast it out there. And it reduces a barrier, right? Of, I don't know. We'll see. Technology-wise, too, the podcast, every time we'd get together, and then one of our either your microphone or my microphone wouldn't work. Something was never working. And it just seemed like a struggle the last few times.
Yeah, we bought all these nice microphones, and now we're back on shitty phones, phone mics, and shitty sound quality. But I guess that's what everybody wants now. I mean, I can't. We'll just give them what they want. Is bad audio.
Right. So what about you? Where have you been? What happened with your?
Well, me, it's a little bit more complicated. I don't really feel like I'm procrastinating. I mean, with the writing stuff, I am, but definitely what happened with me was a big lifestyle change. So the reason I haven't been able to commit to so many podcasts is just like we upheaved our family and moved, 600 kilometers to a new city. I started a new job, and it's been pretty good. But now I'm settled in now and everything like that. We got everyone's kind of used to the way of life here and everything like that. And I thought, why not just jump back into it? So we've flirted with this before, like a couple months ago. I don't want to throw you under the bus here, but you came over. You were like staying close to my house. We got annihilated, like blackout drunk. Christy came for a little bit. She was over there for a little while, and she was hanging out with us. Well, the party kept going, and then we wound up back at my house going, "No, I don't do some more podcasts." And we didn't. We just didn't do it. So now we're doing it. So yeah, and then I got my old saying, "Pack your bags. You're going on a guilt trip." I got a message from a listener to our other podcast, from the Unreliable Narrators podcast, which I guess this one could be too. The intention is to kind of get this thing going on there and just use this as like the jumping point for everything. Because like you said, it's easier. But he contacted me and was like, guys, it's been 1 year since you put out an episode. And I think that was the time we spoke with Christy. Was the last episode we put out. So it's like, no excuses. I like to bullshit with you. You like to bullshit with me. I've actually seen you more in person in the last year than I have in the last 3.
Yep.
Because I kind of have to work in the same town as you now with the job I'm at. So every once in a while I go and hang out in another town and fly in there and see Tim for a little bit and then leave. Right. So we've been able to shoot the breeze there a couple times, and we always talk about doing this, and now we got to just do it. We just got to do it and not procrastinate.
Yeah. So what do you think of the idea of resistance? And I know you bought the Steven Pressfield book, The War of Art. I've read that book 3 times.
Yeah, I got it on my shelf. I've just haven't read it, and I'm procrastinating, I guess. So it looks really important.
He talks about resistance, and that's the common problem that all artists face, right? Is resistance, and it shows up in, I don't have enough time, or I'm not good enough, or you you just diffuse your own ability to get at it. So I think we've actually been suffering from that a little bit. It's not just how busy we are; we just haven't made the time to do it. So
Yeah, that's what I always say. A person has lots of time. You just have to make it, whether or
yeah,
not, you got 24 hours in a day, the same as
yeah,
everybody, and you just have to prioritize what you want to do. Sometimes that means, like you said earlier, dropping something um,
yeah.
that you don't want to do for something that you do. So I don't know. I don't know what I do. I was gonna go hang out with my wife and kids, but dropped them to come do this.
That's perfect. That's what I like to hear.
No, just kidding. They're
So,
upstairs
anyways,
watching weird shit.
on that ethical high note, why don't we move over to the sponsors of the show, which in this case would be Anakin's daycare. Nurturing
Oh yeah,
nurturing younglings since Order 66.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, many people get that reference.
I dropped my kids off there. I have
Yeah,
adults, so like, I mean, if they went there right now, I'd be all for it.
then maybe they don't
Fend for
count as younglings.
yourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just
so
run away.
oh yeah.
Uh, my T-shirt today, if you guys can see this, is some bunnies. This is from these are the, I don't know what you call them. Would you call them anxiety bunnies? They're yeah, weird bunnies from the David Lynch movie um, Inland Empire. And if you've never seen it, I don't know, it just makes you feel uneasy when you watch the bunnies. So
Yeah, it was a difficult watch. Not gonna lie.
you watched it?
I did watch it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of there's some stuff happening there, and you don't know what it is.
I like it. It's like watching someone have a nightmare. If you could like just watch somebody's nightmare, that's what it felt like I was doing. And then you get to like kind of wake up at the end and feel like everything's okay. So it's
Oh yeah.
kind of like I don't know. It's a fun movie. I bought it somewhere on my. I got a big shelf of shit back here. That's all my movies back there and all my weird stuff. I got I wanted to get the Superman poster in the frame here, and the Stormtrooper guy over here
Oh
is
yeah.
very important to me. But these are I got a bunch of David Lynch movies back there. That one's on there, and after he passed away, we watched Blue Velvet. But I can't bring myself to rewatch that one. I don't know why. Uh, I'll get to it one day. I'm not looking forward to it though, if that makes any sense.
No.
But I definitely bought it. It's there somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, so we've seen a couple other we've hung out a couple other times and seen some other movies and stuff like
Oh yeah.
that. We had a good time together, man. We watched the movie Sinners. I had a I
Sinners
had
was
a
a good movie.
I had a blast with that. Um, I didn't think you were well, I don't know. Did you show it to Nicole
Yeah. Yeah.
and
My
she
wife
liked
liked it.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 1 for 30. I got a good
Yeah.
winning record going here. Okay. Yeah, we both that's a joke. So for folks that don't know, I gave Tim a movie recommendation for his birthday and I had no idea. Or no, was it for Nicole's birthday or yours?
I can't remember now.
Anyway, it went over like a lead balloon. It was I thought it was a funny movie, but you guys found it really sad and depressing. And
Well,
I haven't it was like 4 years ago. I haven't lived it down.
yeah. Oh, I'm willing to take another chance on your movie recommendations, but Nicole is kind of iffy on them. So,
Oh,
but so should we dive into Superman, or do you want to talk about
yeah.
Sinners? Let's go.
No, I just yeah, let's talk Superman. That was kind of unscripted, the Sinners part. So we'll just stick to the script.
So,
Superman, what you go ahead.
well, let's do it the way we used to do it. First,
Hmm.
we'll have a lot of stuff that isn't a spoiler. We'll do spoiler free for a little while, and then we'll spoil the shit out of it after that. So if you listen after that point and you haven't seen it yet, it's my own fault. But we'll let
Yeah.
you know when that is.
Okay. So I guess one of the things we'll talk about is I don't know if anyone knows this, but I'm a Superman fanatic, and I think you got sort of an appreciation. Oh, you didn't miss much about talking about Sinners. We don't want to. We might do another show on that. Maybe we'll talk about that in depth on its own thing because I think it deserves. Uh,
Yeah, that one probably takes more time than just 3 minutes. So
yeah. Yeah, we just glanced it over. We liked it, and we're probably going to talk about it in a little bit more detail on another one. But
Have you seen that movie, Christy? Okay, well, maybe you need to
Christy's
be
seen it.
a guest for that episode.
2 exclamation points. That means she liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we might just do a sinner's talk here because I think it's worth going back on. But yeah, for Superman, um, me being a lifelong Superman fan, what was your first? This is something that I talked about is with the Superman crowd or with the character. It's super hard to please everybody. Super hard to please everybody because everyone's got their own kind of point where they jumped in on the character, and everyone's got a different kind of idea of what Superman is. Like, I think he's that rare North American piece of mythology that's just kind of come around in the last 100 years or so. And in that span of time, he's gotten so wildly popular and he's had so many different variations of what he's all about that nobody really knows.
Mhm.
And they can't pin him down to one thing. So I guess the interesting part for me is kind of finding out whoever I'm talking to, like, what's your idea of Superman? Like, what was your first kind of experience with the character, and where'd you jump on the whole mythology train?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I was reading some of the really old comics when I was a little kid. One of my cousins, who was 20 years older than me, had a stack of like antique comics. So of course we wrecked them by reading them repeatedly. So I was most familiar with like the really old comics, like 60s, 70s. And to me that's, pretty old anyways. And I missed out on a big patch during the 80s, 90s, didn't see much of those ones. And then I started reading them again as a young adult, I guess, in the 90s. So to me, the golden age Superman, I guess, is where I first saw him
Okay,
because
so
of
you're
that
comic books.
collection. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what was a character like when you were reading that stuff? Like, was he that quiet, stoic kind of guy, or was he a little bit more chatty Cathy? Like, I know in the 1950s, and I haven't read all the comic books or anything like that, but I know in the 1950s it was pretty off the hook and wild and zany, and the 1960s got a little bit more, into, he did more stuff like civil rightsy kind of stuff, and then,
Mhm.
you know, the 70s it got a little bit maybe a little bit more bent, and then they reinvented him in the 80s. But what was he like back then?
Well, he was mostly fighting the major villains, uh,
Hmm.
like that magical guy, Mister. Can't remember his name.
Mixia's
Brains.
Pitalik.
Yeah, that guy was always in there, and Brainiac, Lex Luthor. I don't remember him. Of course, being a little kid, you wouldn't pay any attention at all to civil rights or anything like that. So that could have been it.
No, yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
I wouldn't have cared less. But there was always gold kryptonite, green kryptonite, red kryptonite, white kryptonite. Multiple colors of kryptonite were floating around all the time. It
Hmm.
seemed like every other episode he was getting blasted with some sort of weird kryptonite. Maybe he was duplicating his body with another body. Like all kinds of powers were getting taken away. Crazy Kryptonians were showing up. Cities were getting shrunk. It was off the hook all the time. So
Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been the time. I wouldn't have paid attention to any of that stuff either. I just thought when I was a kid, I would have seen if I saw a comic book, I was like, that art looks amazing. Like, I couldn't read until I was about 17. So, um,
what was your first Superman then?
the first Superman that I remember was the movies, the Christopher Reeve movies, and I think I
Okay.
was like really, really young. And my mom and dad took me to see, I want to say, Superman 2. And then I remember very, very vividly seeing Superman 3.
And
And then
being,
after,
were you happy with Superman 3?
yeah, I still love Superman
I
3. I
like
think it's,
Superman 3. There's nothing wrong
I,
with that.
funny story. When we're talking about Superman 3, I lived in this one town here, and they filmed Superman 3 around where I'm living right now, and this is kind of where I grew up. So I was at a house party one time. This would have been in 2007 or whatever, and there was a lady there, and she heard that I was a big Superman fan. And this doesn't make me sound very good. This story, just so you know. Um, so she told me, she was like, "Well, my boyfriend played Ricky in Superman 3," and I thought that was the lamest shit I've ever heard in my life. And if you watch Superman 3, you know that Ricky, the only thing he does in the story is like just go to sleep in a wheat field while a combine's coming his way, for no reason whatsoever. It's kind of like the stupidest character. And so I was like I was kind of hammered, and I made fun of Ricky a lot, and I feel bad about it now. So I think of that lady, if she's out there listening. I like Ricky now. He's fine. I've made my peace with Ricky. But yeah, Superman 3, I love it. Like, you have a lot of good things going on there. You got the Richard Pryor skiing off the building. That's a
Yeah,
hoot.
that's my favorite part.
Dude, you got the robot lady. When that lady turns into the robot lady, that
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me. My asshole puckered so tight when I was a kid. I don't think I could have left the theater if I wanted to until that movie was over. That was like a real moment, right? That was scared the shit out of me. Like, you can go back and watch it. It's still kind of scary. You could terrify
Yeah, it
kids with
is.
that right now. It holds up. And Bad Superman. Like, we got our
Bad
first
Superman. Yeah.
dude. They have been living rent free off that Bad Superman. And that was like, I think that's what started it all. And everyone was like, holy shit, Superman can be bad. Yeah, he can get hammered. He can flick the peanuts, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Coincidentally, that's the bar that my wife was in. That bar that he got drunk in. That's the bar that my wife was in when we when we first met.
Oh, really?
We, yeah, she met my friends first in that bar,
Really?
and then yeah, which is the St. Louis Hotel here in downtown Calgary. So, yeah, that was my first thing, and then after that, I got kind of onto the comic books. In the '90s, the Death of Superman stuff, and the thing that really caught me when I started reading the comic books, and I think when we're talking about this Superman movie, it owes a lot to the 1990s comic books, and then another one that came out recently called All Star Superman, which is kind of a nice mishmash of all the different mythologies. But the '90s comic books, it really caught me by surprise because he had this really cool cast of supporting characters. There was Lois Lane, there was Jimmy, and they all had cool stuff to do. And in that kind of run, with the whole Doomsday thing, which we saw in the Batman v Superman movie, where he gets just beaten to death.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor and him, like Lex Luthor was a character in that too, but because there was this other bigger, badder, more serious threat, he had to kind of be on the same side as Superman for some of that story. And I found it really interesting because all those characters had like really fleshed out arcs, in a way that they haven't in a whole lot of movies. They're very usually done as one dimensional. And when I saw this newer movie, the first thing that really caught my eye is that the characters that they had, Jimmy Olsen had something to do, Lois Lane had something to do, Lex Luthor had a little bit more to do than they classically gave him, and he was a little bit more menacing in a very real way. He still has the dumb real estate scheme. I Holy shit! Like it took me. I saw it twice, and I walked out of the theater. I'm like, oh my god, Lex Luthor still did the dumb real estate scheme. They can't get away from that. Um, but anyway, that was the thing that I liked is the '90s comics, and then I kept reading them. So kind of as I'm not like a Superman scholar. I don't know all the history and all the characters. I try to read as much as I can, and every once in a while I go and dabble in some of the old 1930s comic books, or I'll catch on TV one of the old serials, the Kirk Allen stuff or the George
Oh, yeah.
Reeves TV show that was out, and just watch one of those and just to see what he was like back then. It's very different stuff. The radio, there's a lot of people out there that listen to Superman on the radio. I know my grandmother's still kicking, and she watched some of those shows. Um,
That's before
she
my
what?
time.
Sorry, she listened to some of those shows. Yeah, yeah, it was before my time too.
Okay, so let's just run through some of the characters that were in this last in the most recent Superman,
Yeah,
and what we thought of them. And I'm going to go in the order of who I think is the most important character in the movie.
Okay. I don't have this
And
list, so I'm going to have to piggyback
Okay, so my
off you.
list, my number one character in this movie is Guy Gardner, who's played
Okay.
by Nathan Fillion. That's my
Yep.
favorite character in this movie, period.
Yep.
He's a jackass, just like in the comics.
Yep.
And he played it, as far as I can tell, pretty darn well. They didn't
Yeah,
get
I mean,
into his jail past or anything like that, but you can assume.
no. Yeah, they left him, I think they're going to get into that guy a little bit more in other things, but for this one here, you kind of got just enough of him to know that he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And
and he's named the group Justice Gang, which is perfect.
Yeah, he's got his own name for the group, and he sees it as a gang. Yeah, he's a great character. I thought they really did him justice. They kept the comic accurate haircut, which is a big bone of contention for me when they change the appearance of the characters from the comic books. The reason
For no
that they
reason
look
whatsoever.
because it doesn't translate to the
because
movies.
They don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Hollywood disease where they have to, people, they insult their audiences, I think, a lot of times by thinking that they can't have the version that they know and like already. They have to change it in some way or make it more palatable for the eyes. But here it works. Like, I mean, it's just dumb. The character's dumb. He's an asshole, and it just works.
Yep.
Who else do you got?
Okay, so number 2, I'll go with Superman, who was played by David Cornsweet.
Yep,
Is that how you say his last name? Yeah.
I'm going to go with it. Yeah.
I have to put him number 2 just because the movie is about him, mainly. But he was a pretty good depiction. The only difference that I really found with this Superman compared to many others is that he has super strength, super speed, etc. But he doesn't have super intelligence. Or maybe he's pretty smart, but he's super naive. I'm not sure.
Well, there again lies the kind of difference in how people view the character. I know I've had people talk about how he's got like universal language kind of power, or throughout the years he's had all these other powers. Like if you watch the Christopher Reeve movies, he's got Jarrell, Marlon Brando telling him all the history of everything Krypton and Earth, and he knows everything. And you get the sense that Superman's just like the smart guy. But to me, when I started reading the comic books, it was really apparent to me that he was just a regular farm kid from the prairies of America, right?
Yeah.
And this movie kind of leans into that idea a lot more than the previous versions have, which I loved. I couldn't be happier with. But who else do you got?
Number 3.
We're going to talk about that guy more later. He's kind of important.
Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult. Okay, so I'd say he's darn near the best character in the movie. Actually appeared evil for a change, not just a idiot. Like I don't know. There's been several Lex Luthors that I just couldn't get behind in the movies. Not really. They just didn't live up to the comic book evil.
Well, he's been my one kind of bone of contention throughout the whole movie world of Superman. I mean, as much as I love this movie here, the original Superman, Christopher Reeve, the one thing that always kind of raises my hackles is Gene Hackman. Like, I mean, he's got like a nuclear bomb scheme. He's like the criminal mastermind. And I think Lex Luthor as a character is a lot more meaty if you make him that kind of like, if Superman is like one version of the American dream, so is Lex Luthor, but he's like a different version of that. Like he's kind of like a perverted one. Superman is kind of like that, they're both kind of, I guess you want to say the word is power fantasies, but Lex Luthor's is more based on something kind of like gross and envious, keeping up with the Joneses or not having as much as the next guy. And in this case, he's very envious, and he says so much in the story of Superman, right? And I think that's a lot more psychologically a better character than like, I'm going to blow up the San Andreas Fault with a nuclear bomb so I can have my little island paradise over here. Because I bought, or whatever he did, bought up all the land in Arizona so he can have all that oceanfront property and make a fucking, I don't know, Trump Tower or whatever.
Luther Corp Tower.
Yeah, he's out and playing. Everybody knows who he is in this version. He's a businessman. He's like on TV a lot, or on, I don't know, whatever. He's on broadcast a lot. He's on news channels, and he's a known personality. People know him. They trust him. They like him, and that's the kind of Lex Luthor that I think is like the dangerous and scary Lex Luthor. The one that everyone kind of knows and trusts. And he does some great stuff. Like, I mean, he reminded me so much of, like, you know. You ever work with that person who's just like a shit disturber and is like untouchable? That's kind of what he reminded me of. That scene with the coffee cup. And if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that more in the spoilery section, but it was great. He was great. Okay, moving on before
Okay, number 4 is Hawk Girl.
Okay.
In my mind, played by Isabella Merced. So there's been few iterations of, like, for instance, Hawkman recently appeared in what was that movie called? That really bad one.
Black Adam.
Yeah, Black Adam. He was in Black Adam, and the character appearance was great, but the mentality was not great. And the way they used the character in that movie was not great. This Hawk Girl, I feel, did a pretty good job of depicting the actual comic book character. They didn't get into her past or the fact or discuss why her husband wasn't there or any of those other things that should have maybe tied into the comics, but the actual way the character acted seemed, I don't know, comic correct. And her scream when she was attacking, her Hawk scream, was pretty good. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Hawk Girl?
Well, I like Hawk Girl as a character, and the first time I really saw her was in the Justice League cartoons, and it's a wildly different version of the character. And I don't know enough about the one that was in this movie to know if it was the same one or if it's kind of like the more comic-based one. I have a feeling that it's more of the comic-based one, which I'm not as familiar with. I really got to know Hawk Girl from the cartoons, and she has some stuff to do in this show, but there wasn't enough of her to really, she's just kind of like that salty kind of teenage presence, to kind of, rub Guy Gardner the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay. So let's leave her, go for number 5, Mr. Terrific.
Oh, man.
Played by Eddie Gathegi. I'm not sure how to say his name. But anyways.
Yeah.
So you know more about Mr. Terrific maybe than I do. I liked that character.
Yeah. He's a fun character. Strangely aside, there's 2 fellas in this movie, one being Nicholas Hoult and one being the actor who played Mr. Terrific. Both of those guys were in X-Men First Class together. The guy who played Mr. Terrific, he played Darwin, who was killed off.
Okay.
He was the first character killed off. So this is kind of a big deal for that actor, and he's been kind of brought back in as a really likable superhero, which I think he was one of the highlights in the movie. The scene, I can't tell you, but there's a scene with him in it with Lois Lane that's just fantastic. We'll talk about it in spoilers. But he's given a lot to do. He's kind of got, when you get into these archetypes of these heroes, he's very Iron Man-y, right? But it works for him. He's a fun character to watch. He's played really well, and they give him all kinds of cool stuff to do. And
he's got really good choreography.
Great choreography, yeah. He
Okay, let's move on. Number 6, Jimmy Olsen. And there's Skylar Gisondo.
Yeah. I've seen this actor before. He was in a Netflix show about why social media is evil. And
Okay.
And that's the only place I've really seen him. But I kind of liked the take on the character, that he's like this irresistible love machine, and all
Even
the
though he's a
ladies
complete
love him.
nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, and they have a subplot involving him in the movie, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's it's a comic book movie, and it was kind of funny. So yeah, I liked him too. And like I said, everybody in this movie, all these characters, they're all given kind of a cool either a subplot or something cool that they have to do to add to the story in a way
Okay,
that
so
affects Superman. So
yeah, exactly. It's not just that they just show up and don't have any involvement. They
no.
actually figure into the story. Okay, so I've got Lois Lane as number 7. Like
Hmm.
she's fairly ways down the list, and it, like yay or nay, it's like whatever. That's kind of how I felt about that character. It's like they just threw her in there because they had to have Lois Lane. I don't know. She just didn't do much for me. I don't know why.
Well, I have to disagree with you. So a little history on this movie here. There was the Black Adam movie that we talked about before. Um, and there's some stuff that just kind of came out in the last day or two with interviews with James Gunn, where he had to actually tell the previous Superman actor Henry Cavill, after The Rock, Dwayne Johnson had tried to bring him back into the Black Adam movie. He shows up in the end credits as Superman and the whole outfit, and everyone's like, "Yay, he's back!" And then 2 or 3 days later, James Gunn was like, "No, he's not back. We're not doing a Henry Cavill Superman movie. We're not doing that anymore." So um, I was pretty pissed off about that. I thought that was like pretty bad. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I like all variations of Superman. They're all kind of accurate or whatever. But I liked his, and I didn't think he got like a total fair shake with the character, and
Mhm.
he could have done more if they let him. So I was pretty, I had some hurt feelings about that until I found out they cast the lady that they cast to play Lois Lane, and she's what really sold me the ticket. And I think she totally delivered a Lois Lane that um, we're going to talk about that scene. Like, there's a little clip that went out. If you haven't seen the movie, there's a clip that went out where she's talking with Superman, but he's not in his Superman outfit. He's just Clark Kent. And they played really well off each other, I thought, in that scene. So I don't know. I'd say I disagree with you, but we can disagree more later, and we will.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I only have one more person on my list.
Okay.
Metamorpho, number 8. It's
Oh,
Anthony
man.
Kerrigan. I loved the Metamorpho because he was comic book accurate. So here we go again. I'm really looking at being true to the story. I don't like movies where they take a perfectly good story and then butcher it and drain its blood out and make pudding out of it or whatever instead of doing the story. So Metamorpho made sense. Like it was very similar to the like it looked like Metamorpho. He could do the same things. It just made sense to me.
You like Metamorpho.
Yeah, and important plot point. A way to get around something. So which we'll talk
Yeah,
about later.
that's right. Okay. Yeah, I like Metamorpho. Again, like I read some comic books in the 80s where he was a character in there, and I just thought, man, that is some weird stuff. And he's weird in this one too, and it brings like a little layer of weirdness
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed. And it allows other characters to kind of play off that weirdness in a way that kind of brings you into the story too. So yeah, he was a really welcome addition to the movie for me. Um, and he's got a couple good, really emotional moments in the story,
Mhm.
which I thought were pretty good. And yeah, we'll talk about those later. Okay, so I guess that's your last character.
Yeah, that's the last character I got on the list here.
No, I don't have any on my list, so I had to piggyback up yours. You did all the work again, man. I don't know how this keeps happening. I just gotta. I'm
I
lazy.
know.
I'm procrastinating. I don't know. Um,
Let's rate the movie and then we'll go into spoilers. How about that?
yeah, sure. Um, we could definitely do that. We could talk about the
Okay.
spoilers.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie a rating of 98 out of 112.
98 out of 112.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's pretty good. What would I give it? Uh I would give it 7 Fortress of Solitude crystals out of 8.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're about the same rating.
No, I
Around the,
did do yeah, I really liked it. I mean, if there's one thing I think I would have there's I don't know. I guess we can kind of go in and talk about the things that I liked about it. Number one, I thought it was for the most part really well thought out and written. I've been tooting this horn for a while now, where these writers get a hold of a character like Superman, and they say, like, he's just too shitty to write. Like, he doesn't have any weaknesses. He doesn't. The only thing that can hurt him is kryptonite or whatever. And all the people who read the comic books are like, bullshit, pal. They literally had a stronger, bigger guy come and beat him to death, and
Yeah.
that's how the comic books
Yeah.
went, right? And again, I mean, he's not real. So if you're a writer, that's amazing. You can do anything you want with a character like Superman. You can
Yep.
hurt him however you want. You can make up the rules as you go. And in this one, I found that they found a lot of ways to hurt him, which is interesting to a character. You can hurt the character or put obstacles in front of him that he can't avoid. And James Gunn, in that respect, is a smart writer. The only thing that I have to say about this movie, as we mentioned his name, James Gunn. This is a very James Gunn kind of movie. There's a lot of James Gunn jokes. There's a lot of James Gunn silly humor, and a lot of times I found that it either didn't jive or it kind of pulled me out of stuff. But the sum of the parts is greater than whatever that saying is. I don't know. I want to George W. Bush myself. The whole thing kind of came together in a good way. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I liked the little bit of humor. There was the big difference in this movie, I still say, is that this Superman is maybe super naive. So compared to previous iterations, more naive.
Yeah, he's a farm boy.
Yeah, he's a little on the gullible side almost. And yeah. But that's good. That's different.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's another flaw for the villains to play off of, right? So
yeah. So I mean, previous versions of him, Henry Cavill's version, and I think Brandon Routh's version. The one where he was like a creepy stalker flying around Lois Lane's house, listening through the windows and shit. Those ones made him out to be more of like a godlike character. And I think he is still that in this movie, but he's one that's been raised as a person, like a human being. And that makes him more interesting as a character. He's got real human kind of fears and traits that the rest of us would have, which makes him entirely relatable. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. He is naive, and I think that works for the story. He's kind of like an aw shucks, golly kind of dorky guy, right? Loved it.
Okay. Well, should we head into spoiler territory?
I want to talk about spoilers. I want to talk about everything with that.
So, yeah. This is the point where if you keep listening and you don't want to be listening to spoilers, then it's your own fault. Because we're going to talk about spoilers now. There's
12 eyeballs on this feed right now. And we'll see if any of them drop off. I don't think they will, but yeah, we'll do some spoilers. Okay. What do you want to spoil?
Well, let's talk about Lex Luthor's girlfriends first.
Oh, his one girlfriend, Miss Tessmacher.
He's apparently had multiples of girlfriends. There's at least one that he kept locked away after he was done with her in the secret prison, right?
Yeah,
in the pocket universe.
She squawked on him, or she did something. She I can't remember what they said her crime was. It was something really. Nothing really serious, but serious enough for him to lock her away in a pocket universe.
I can't remember what it was. Didn't he say something about him on social media? Maybe?
That's right. Yeah, she had a blog. These filthy.
Yeah.
Look out, Tim. I know you blog.
Yeah, and she blogged about Lex Luthor, and he's like, "That's it. You're going to my pocket universe jail."
Yeah, you don't want.
He had thousands of people locked up. So yeah.
Yeah, he has a pretty big shit list. That guy. And, for a guy who only created a pocket universe a short time ago, man, he's managed to fill that Guantanamo pocket universe with a bunch of nefarious characters.
Yeah. Who he's blackmailed many of.
So, yeah, I mean, he could just do whatever he wants. It's what are the laws pertaining to a pocket universe? This raises all sorts of serious questions. Anyway, but that touches on something like, you have this, this is a science fiction movie. and it leans
Yeah.
into the really kind of zany, maybe even like the 1950s kind of stuff that the character did, where they had like, you know, um, weird robots and portals to other dimensions and
Yeah.
mirror universes and stuff like that. And the pocket universe is kind of one of those things, they just walk through a little tube and they're in another spot, and the guy can go from one place to another and show up in a building or whatever. Um, One of the things, and when we're talking about spoilers, we want to talk about. I was mentioning this, some of the criticism that's come out about this movie, which I find kind of off base. The number one thing is everyone keeps referencing this one review to me where it's like, man, I don't want to watch Superman get the shit beat out of him for 2 hours. And I never really felt like that was a problem for me. He is strong and he's Superman-y in the movie to me. He could fly, he could do the X-ray or the heat vision, the super breath, all that stuff. But they just wrote in scenarios where he's got to really struggle if he wants to win. And ultimately he does. He's the hero of the movie, right? But there's like, man, you really kind of they make it believe that he might not be coming out of this one okay. They got a villain who they switch his kind of identity a couple times in the movie. At first, he starts out as this armored guy, the Hammer of Boravia, and then it's revealed that he's like this Ultraman guy who seems to have like the same kind of superpowers as Superman. And then you go further into the story, and you find out that Lex Luthor's rerun that plot point from Superman 4, where he's cloned Superman, right? And he can get into all the places that Superman can get into, the Fortress of Solitude and all that stuff with this Ultraman guy. And then ultimately he has to fight him at the end. And when he takes off his thing, it's the same face. And so it makes sense why this other guy would be able to just beat the shit out of him. He's him.
But with the
And
smarts of Lex Luthor running him is what gave him the real strength.
yeah, Lex Luthor's kind of playing all the shots like a video game from behind the scenes. The other character that we didn't talk about, the villain character, was the engineer.
Oh, yeah,
Who
the engineer.
at one, and I thought she was really good too. A great villain. She's right on board with all Lex Luthor's bullshit, and she's got like the kind of interesting nanotechnology thing. And if you think about it, and this is where the smart writing comes in, as opposed to those other jabronis, because everyone's like, well, kryptonite is the only thing that can hurt Superman, and then they're like, no, he still needs to breathe.
Yeah.
He needs the sun.
Yeah.
And also, we still have kryptonite in the back pocket, and you could just beat the living shit out of him if you want to, because I mean, that's how it goes, right? There's always someone bigger and stronger, So really, for me, that was why I loved it. I mean, it was just good writing. They found ways of putting obstacles in front of him, and you're like, man, how's he going to sort this out? What do you think, Tim? Like, the bad guys that we had, that we were looking at. How would you rate them in a Superman movie?
They're pretty good. What was the name of the clone?
Ultraman.
Ultraman, yeah. So the movie starts off with Superman getting the crap kicked out of him and crash landing in Antarctica, and he's so beat up he can't even walk. That's where we start. So I can see some people being annoyed by the start. Like right off the bat, they didn't like the beginning, maybe, right? That could be where that impression of him getting beat up constantly comes from, is because the movie literally started with him being beat up so bad he couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
So instead of him going to a sunny place, though, instead he goes to Antarctica to get sun. But anyways, that's beside the point. He should have went to the beach, Bermuda or something.
Well, I think he went back there because that's where the fortress was.
Yeah.
And that's where all his robots that helped him could be. And luckily it happened to be, I don't know, like it probably, depending on what season it is, it could be very dark down there. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been there. I've only talked to cool people who have. But yeah, I don't know. They give him that yellow sun kind of power thing too. He needs the sunlight. He's got to recharge. He's like a battery. This is all stuff that they have in the mythology that people aren't really that familiar with. But It is part of the character. It has been for quite some time. So, after he does that, kind of like we're talking about the character of Lex Luthor, so he's kind of manipulating this stuff from behind the scenes and working with he's got a whole host of people there. One of them is Otis, another thing that they brought in from the original Superman mythology that I really liked, and Miss Tessmacher, who is always kind of a cool character in the original Superman movie. I
And
always
that's the
thought she
one
was great.
she's the one that's sweet on Jimmy Olsen, right?
She's the one, yeah, she's the lady who's obsessed with Jimmy Olsen, and he has no idea that she's just absolutely stunning lady, and he just thinks she's got mutant toes, which I I thought it was like it reminded me of that movie Shallow Hal with
Yep.
Jack Black a little bit, and I just thought it was a funny gag. Like everyone can see that she's just like a bombshell except for him, right? But she was a great, I thought, cast member too. She really added some humor and stuff like that, and yeah, she was kind of fun to watch her back and forth with Jimmy, and then how it ends with them, and he's kind of like, yeah, this lady's kind of cool. I think I like her. After she gets out of the what is it, the pocket universe
The old
purgatory
Pocket
there,
universe, yeah.
yeah, the
So
secret penitentiary.
so we promised we were going to talk about Mr. Terrific's big choreographed scene there.
We did. Okay, so that was a highlight for me. They go to find when Lois Lane and him go to find the portal for the pocket universe that Lex Luthor is using. It's in some other country or whatever. So he shows up there with Lois Lane. He puts like a little bubble dome around her with one of his he calls them T spheres, right? That's the superpower. Is he's got these little spheres that could do just about anything that you could think of. He puts a force field around there, and he proceeds to just kick the shit out of all those guys while she's just sitting there watching them bounce off this ball to some dorky pop song. I mean, if you're not having fun in that scene, Tim, you got no soul.
Yeah, that was an action-packed scene where he kicked the ass of about, I don't know what, 40 guys, something like that.
Yeah. That was like a full comic book mode, full comic book movie. Lean into it. Speaking of Mr. Terrific, I just want to say, when it comes to the costumes in this movie, which is something that we talk about all the time, in private, when we have our nerd discussions, we talk about things like the Daredevil show and the Punisher show, or any of these movies or shows where they're just like, we can't have a costume on this guy, and then they go and do something with Mr. Terrific. Like, how dorky is this? It's a guy with a big T on his face. White leather Michael Jackson jacket and pants, like, dorky, but we love it.
Yep.
We love it. Guy Gardner, again, like, stupid leather jacket, bowl cut hair, dorky. We love it. Give us more of that stuff, please.
I agree. Spoiler wise, what else can we say that we don't want to actually totally ruin the movie? So,
no, it's there's a through line thread in this movie. The one thing we didn't touch on is everybody's favorite thing is Crypto. He's got a dog with him.
oh yeah, the dog.
Who ends up being a foster situation, and we won't spoil the foster situation, I guess, if you haven't seen the movie. Everyone's still watching. Nobody's dropped off. More people have gotten on here since we started this, so I'm thinking everyone's seen this movie. But the dog's pretty lovable. I don't think that was a real dog at all, but it was like a nice little heartwarming part of the movie. And I like the scene in the end.
Where would they get a super dog? Let's be real.
Well, you just need one for the for the scenes where he's walking around, and then when he's flying around, you computer generate that dog. But I don't think he was a real dog for any of the movie. Maybe I'm wrong about that, and someone can correct me. But it was pretty believable anyway, and he was a pretty lovable.
The dog was not listed in the cast members that I looked at.
No, I think he was not real the whole time. He was
even though he was
CG asset,
a rescue dog. Or
that's right, yeah, a foster dog, yeah,
a foster
dog. Now there was a scene in the movie where the dog shows up at the end in the big battle scene at the end, and Mr. Terrific he's kind of huffy. He's like, "You brought your dog?" And Superman says to him, he's like, "Yeah, I just didn't want him killing my parents' cows." I thought that was so great. Like that just made me laugh. There's so many like lighthearted kind of human moments to the character, and that was kind of one of them. It's like, yeah, totally. You wouldn't want that superpowered dog just eating
Well,
every
no.
head of cattle.
And if you've ever had a dog and taken it, a city dog and taken it to the farm, bad stuff happens. It just happens.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
dead chickens, horses running for their lives, all kinds of stuff happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's farm dog is a different breed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crypto was a fun kind of moment. I saw a news story here the other day that it's kind of inspired people to adopt more dogs that don't have homes. So it's kind of nice, nice in that way. Now that being said, when we're talking about nice things, it's a very wholesome movie. And in regards to, I don't think this is really spoilery stuff or not, but it has a couple things that I really liked. And one of them was that there was a romance element to it, which you don't see a whole lot in movies anymore. Like, I was watching the movie Twister, and there's kind of like a guy, the what's his name, Glenn Powell, handsome Hollywood leading man, and you got this lady that he's obviously interested in, and she's interested in him, and he kind of comes around from being a bit of an asshole, and she starts to like him again. And at the end there's a scene where it would be like a romantic scene, but then all of their friends run up and ruins it, and then they have to kind of go back and do like this kind of makeup scene for that. And this one just doesn't have that. It's got a romance scene. It's got Superman and Lois Lane have their thing at the end, and I just kind of found that the sentimentalist in me just kind of likes that old fashioned part of Superman. The other part I like too is the optimism. There wasn't what to me it didn't seem like a cynical movie, and there's been cynical takes on the character before, and those are entirely accurate, I think. But this one isn't like that. He's an optimist. He thinks the best of people.
Yeah.
Like you said, it comes off as a little naive, but that's the way he is. He saves, like, everything is kind of special to him. There's that big monster that they fight in the city, and he doesn't want to kill it. And the other guys are like, no, come on, man, let's just do this and get it done with. And he really takes it personally when they do that. There's even a scene where he's saving like the tiniest creatures. There's a squirrel, and I just kind of thought that was a really good aside to the character. He can go and fight with the big guys, but at the same time, he's trying to do as little damage as possible to everybody and everything that's around him. And I thought that was a refreshing take on the character too. A little bit old fashioned, and I don't know, I don't mind it. I liked it. What did you think of that?
The squirrel scene, I got to say, so backstory here. A squirrel broke into our garden shed, my wife's special area, right? Totally trashed it, threw it, tossed it like a homeless squirrel, like destroyed it, filled it full of spruce cones, just, pooped on everything. So my wife hates squirrels. And then Superman went and saved the squirrel, and she's like, oh, please. That's I've heard her say.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I think squirrels are real bastards. They're all terrible. But I like that he would save one. I just kind of think that's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's I agree. They're awful. I scared my wife one time. She was like coming out of where we lived, and I was like, "Oh my God, look out! There's a squirrel." There was no squirrel, but her reaction to it was like horror movie awful, right? And I was like, "Man, there's really something to this squirrel thing." I mean, they're pretty fearsome creatures, but
They're not quite Canada geese level, but
they're up there. Yeah, yeah. I like that angle of the movie. I like the wholesomeness. It's kind of like refreshing to see. The last version of the character, like I said, he was pretty cynical. I think there was a line in there in the one movie where he said, "Nobody stays good in this world," and I think there's a lot of people that had problems with hearing those words kind of come out of Superman. And with those movies, I think it was kind of a journey to get to where they wanted them to be, and where they wanted to be was more somewhere like where this movie started. But this movie just started there, and I think from there you can kind of take the character in any directions that you go. Are you interested in seeing another one, Tim?
I'd watch another one. I definitely watch a Supergirl movie.
Well, you're gonna, because that's coming out next.
And they're doing something different with that character, which is totally fine with me.
Yep, yep. And they're bringing back our everyone's favorite Atlantean, who's not playing. Well, they're bringing back Jason Momoa, who is not playing Aquaman anymore. He's playing a different character, the one he should have played the whole time, which is Lobo.
You're right. So that's going to be interesting. Because who
Yeah,
doesn't like to see a bike rider from outer space?
yeah. Wolverine mixed with Mad Max, mixed with yeah, he's a fun character. Hmm, love Lobo. He's a hoot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope they do more. I think the movie's doing well. Um, I'm not a I don't know. I don't know how much money it needs to make or anything like that. I try not to pay too much attention to those things anymore, but I think it's doing okay enough to get um, another one done. Now, I think the expectation for this one is because they've had such a rocky ride with the character up until now. They want to more or less have just kind of a goodwill bought with the audience again. So even if this one doesn't just bust the bank, they're hoping that they get enough people on board again with their whole DC kind of universe that they can do more of these and have them be a little bit more profitable, I guess. But good luck to them. I mean, they started at an uphill battle, and I think they gained a lot of fans along the way in places that, and they lost some dipshits that just don't want to. I don't know. They don't want to like things. That's the thing I don't like is nowadays when you read. I didn't know a character like Superman would be so divisive. Uh, you look at one thing and someone's like, "No, this is a fun movie and I like it," and other people are like, "This is a piece of shit." Like, "Oh my god, man, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life." And I don't know. Like, it's a pretty good movie. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but it certainly isn't. I've seen way worse stuff than this, and I don't know if anything. I don't know. What do you think of that, Tim? Like, have you seen any of this stuff?
No, well, I know people do make their minds up about things before they go see them or before they investigate it further, and that doesn't help, right? Like I go in intending to have a good time if I go to the movie theater. It has to be pretty bad for me to not enjoy it at all. So
I have this like, you know, when someone says to me, I'm going to wait until the critical drinker tells me what I need to think. I just think, man, just think for yourself. Just, you know, it's the secret is if you can go to this movie for half price. If you want to take a date to the movie, you can go to Costco and they have a night out at the movies for $39. You get two pops, two popcorns. I'm not a spokesman for Costco, but I think it's a great deal. And if you go to the movie on your own and you just go up, walk right up to the box office and buy your movie ticket, it's bullshit. It's twice the price. But you can go and that's fairly cheap. And you can buy single tickets too, some places for half the price. You can go see this movie. It's not a whole lot of money. Maybe it is for you. Maybe I don't know. But it's worth it to make up your mind for yourself every time. 100% of the time, it is worth it to make up your mind for yourself. And that's the thing I don't like is when you tell me I'm going to wait to see what the critics or the critical drinker or whoever else that reviews movies on YouTube thinks. I just think, man, that must suck. Like what happened is just like deciding if you like things on your own and giving things a chance, right? So I don't know. If you haven't seen the movie, please go see it, folks. It's a fun movie.
if you have to, if you're trying to save a couple bucks, go to Walmart, go to the candy aisle, on the way to the movie theater, buy 2 or 3 big bags of candy, shove them down your pants, and then if they go to the concession stand, you just save $60.
Yeah, eat your sweaty ball candy like Tim wants you to do. Gross.
I mean, if you got a lady friend that has a large purse,
Yeah.
those you're in. So
Yeah. I like to just tuck them in my back here and walk in like, the hunchback. That's how I do it.
yeah, yeah.
And then that way, they're not in my crotch. Gross.
I mean, it's harder to get the popcorn in there. Very few options, but
in the hunchback, yeah. You got to put it in your hoodie and then fold the hoodie up underneath, and then that works too. Yeah.
okay.
I just for me that's about it for Superman.
That's about all I got to say too.
No,
Anybody
perfect.
got any comments online there?
No,
Has
I
everybody seen
I
this movie? Are they going to see it?
I saw that Christy commented that we're hardcore movie nerds, and yeah, we are. Sorry,
But
we
it'd be nice to get her on with us to talk about Sinners, because that's a good movie.
yeah, I like to
And
hear what everybody says about these movies and bounce ideas off. So don't be shy. I mean, if you want to talk about movies with us, we'll talk about movies. Uh, People tell me I'm like a movie Rain Man or something like that. I've seen like 2000 or some movies. I watched like garbage. Really, I'll just watch. Like I watched a movie called Catnado recently because my friend Joe, told me about it, and then him and I have this contest to see how many bad movies. There's Catnado. I told him about Bubba Hotep. He watched that one. And then now it's like a contest to see who can find like the worst movie to get the other person to watch it. So there's this one with Nicolas Cage I got to watch where he's like in a Chuck E. Cheese, but he doesn't say anything the whole movie. Have you seen this one?
no,
Well, we might be able to talk about this one. And then I found another one called Dick Shark, like, and it's exactly what you think. So maybe we can do a bad movie podcast here.
maybe.
And if you want to watch some bad movies with us, we can put out a list. Tim will Substack it. I
Okay,
just enlisted you.
we can do that. We'll put Zombiever on that list.
Yeah, Zombie, let's go.
Okay, well, why don't we wrap it up here?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks everybody for joining in. This is my first live stream, and to know that there's 18 people watching and listening to the crazy things that Tim and I have to say, that means a lot. So
Yeah, that
thank you.
means we don't. Yeah, we're real people now.
Yeah, we used to do this and have no audience, and we wouldn't be sure if anyone would listen at all. So it's nice to know that somebody is.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everybody for showing up. And
Yeah, we appreciate it.
yeah, we're gonna say goodbye here, I think. So
Hey,
yeah,
Tim,
my rating, I think I said 99 out of 118. What was your rating again?
it was like 7 Fortress of Solitude crystals out of 8.
Yeah. So that Superman movie's worth watching, in our opinion.
Yeah, in our
Go watch
opinion,
it.
in our humble opinion. Yeah. Well, Tim, as always, it's been a slice.
Yeah, it's been a slice. Talk to you later, Ren.
You bet.
I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.